Here with Tour de France stage winner Juan Antonio Flecha. Juan, I need to know from you whether or not Pogue's dominance of the Tour de France is bad or good for cycling. But before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Those who have been following along in this series know that we both ride bikes from MMR Bicycles. I have the Adrenaline Arrow, and you have the Grand Tour, right, which is behind you.
Grand Tour has been released quite recently, and it's something in between. It's an old road. It's an old sort of very hybrid type of bike, very comfortable on a way. You can ride it on dirt roads, and you can be really good on the tarmac, especially if you're riding long distances.
And one has 44s on there. And that's, I think, about what I have on my MMR X Tour, which is a gravel bike. So definitely, if you're into bikes where you can kind of switch it up and go from the road to gravel, check out the Grand Tour for sure. If you want something faster, check out the MMR Adrenaline Arrow. But before we get to discussing whether or not Pogue's absolute dominance of the Tour de France is good or bad for cycling, I'm going to ask you, do you think Tadej can beat Mark Cavendish's record? Who, like, it's kind of weird to be asking that after Mark literally just set the record in the same tour that Pogue has 6 stage wins, I think. Um, and I believe he is at 17 stage wins overall. Do you know if that's right? Is it 16 or 17?
Yeah, that's getting closer to caps, right?
Yeah,
And
Kappa's at 36.
yeah, I mean, if you look at how many tours today's done so far, and the amount of victories he's achieved and the years he's got ahead and the condition, obviously, he's going to get very close to Cap's record. And it's funny it's taking so long for someone to even equal Eddie Merckx's record. And now you have someone you kind of sort of see happening, right, and coming. So, yeah, let's hope that, I'm sorry for Cap, but let's hope that record gets beaten soon.
Right. And Tadej is only 25 years old, which he seems like he's older than that. It feels like we've been watching him forever. He's averaging 3 stage wins right now. And I think the commentators are talking about like he's aware of his average and he wanted to get another stage win to make sure he could get his average to 3. And that would actually put him beating Mark Cavendish's record by the age of 31, 32. So it'd be like 6 or 7 more Tour de France's. I think it's within reach. I mean, because right now we're like seeing peak Pogačar, right? But we're not even thinking like down the line when he's maybe older, becoming a support rider and just going after onesie, twosie stage wins. Um, so I think it's absolutely within reach. And we saw what happened today and what happened throughout the 3 weeks. Poe, I think he been winning by over a minute today. Do you think his dominance has been good or bad for the sport for cycling fans? Because there's been a lot of talk about whether or not this is good or bad thing.
I mean, I think Thomas again tweeted or posted on X something quite funny, saying that people complains when Pogačar wins so many stages, and then they don't complain when a sprinter wins 6 stages, right? So 5 stages. And if you remember Cap, he's the last rider in Tour de France capable of winning 6 stages on the same year. So I think, personally, I'd rather have a rather like Pogačar, winning a lot of stages rather than a sprinter, just for the way, just because a mountain or Helios stage is going to be always a lot more nice to watch than a just complete flat, nothing happening. One guy solo breakaway ride, getting close, thing to go. That's some kind of boring. So from this point of view of an ex-spectator who's watching cycling, I can't say this is bad for cycling, right? I can't say dominating a race like Tour de France is bad. Especially someone who's Pogacar just really like doing it. He looks like a nice person as well, and he just going for the victory, and he's capable of doing it. And there's the rivals are there. They're also, He's getting. It looks easy, but I'm sure his rivals are quite good as well. So Jonas and Renko Evenepoel. So I understand some people says like, oh, for me, I don't like watching it anymore because it's sort of predictable. But for the same, you don't like to watch these. Would you watch a sprint when you know a sprinter will be will be dominating the sprint for sure? And at the end you get like big names in the sport, so you can't really blame these athletes or those athletes of winning, really. So yeah, I mean, you just need to enjoy what you're watching, which is pretty unique, right?
I will ask you, because you've been in the Peloton, for these smaller teams, the ones who get the invite to the tour, and their whole objective is a stage win, or maybe even like the World Tour teams who are more prominent and they're not really in the GC contention. What is kind of the reception when you have a rider that is dominating and maybe winning stages when they don't necessarily need to gain time on GC? Is there talk amongst riders within the Peloton? Obviously, nobody's going to say anything publicly, but like, how's the Peloton receive this type of thing?
I mean, at the end, if you're an athlete, right, and you're competing, you want the best competition possible, right? You don't want someone to give you a gift, right? Of course, it's nice, but it wouldn't be a sportsmanship. It would be a friendship, and that's something we should really differentiate. Because some people like to say, oh, that's not very sportive, just dominate. And it's not very, no. I mean, we're not. We're talking about different things, right? You could be a very good friend on someone and let him win a race, a bike race, but that doesn't mean that doesn't make you a better sportsman, right?
Right.
Because sports it's all about the best man win. So it's something completely different. So if you're a rider Tour de France and you're trying to win stages, and you have someone like Tadej Pogačar really going for the win, that's the way it is, and that's the way you want to get a stage in the Tour de France, which is very, very difficult to get. So you can't really blame anyone, I mean, here. And if you manage to get a stage win or whatever, you should be even more proud, because you won a stage on a scenario that's been a lot more difficult than any other in the sport. So I don't really see it that way. I see it like the way, well, it's the hardest bike race ever out there. So if you want to be proud of finishing, look at the tears today of Renko Evenepoel at the end, all those emotions at the end. That's Tour de France. That only happens at Tour de France, even you haven't done much, right? You probably
Right.
see that in privacy of riders, like you bring the emotions out because it's a hard race, it's number one race, and it means a lot. So you don't want anyone giving you victories there or giving you for free breakaways, or no, it doesn't work like that.
That's a good point. Speaking of Remco, I was pretty impressed. I mean, this is his first Tour de France. I saw the emotion. I think he's going to bounce back stronger in the next editions of the Tour de France. It's only going to make him hungrier. And Jonas finishing in second, about 6 minutes back on GC. Do you attribute this gap that Jonas finished in second to Pogue? Do you think it's more so due to the injuries he sustained from his crash in the Basque Country race? Or do you think it's because he didn't have the support that he needed in terms of Sepp, Kuss, and Steven, just to name a couple of names? Or do you think it's a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of having such a strong Tadej Pogačar, if you ask me, because you could look at many factors, and at the end of the day, he performed very well. He performed very well all the way through the Tour de France, from that climb up to San Luca to the time trial in Nice. You can't really blame anyone there, right? I mean, the man, got injured, but he made it through, and he started the Tour de France. He arrived to Tuscany, to Firenze, best shape possible and very competitive shape. His team, fine. Sepp wasn't there. Van Baarle wasn't there either previous to the
Yep.
race. So yeah, there's a few riders who got a bit in trouble. Kreisberg wasn't there either. If you look at the team, say, oh well, the team wasn't strong enough. But on the other hand, Tratnik did a fantastic job. Bernard maybe wasn't at the level, but Jorgensen showed up. He did a really good
For sure.
good Tour de France performance. So it's hard to tell on that way. Of course, it would be nicer to have had for them someone like Sepp or Van Barle or even a stronger Bernard. But at the end, the leader, which was Jonas, performed excellent. I think he performed in a really good way. It was hard times for him, but he was super strong. Not as strong, and I say not as and not quite, because today was very superior to him and to everyone else out there.
Agreed. Showed absolute dominance out there, and it was really, really fun to watch. Just to wrap things up, who are some of your or one of your like biggest winners and biggest losers for this year's Tour de France?
Winners, Bini Girmay for me is number one winner. I mean, he's done an amazing Tour de France. If we remember that he got to the Tour like just being a lead out man to his teammate, and then he ended up winning green jersey and 3 stages. It's pretty amazing. And losers, I have a few teams actually. God, where was Ineos riding?
Yeah.
I haven't seen them really. Such a strong team and huge budget. The same with Red Bull Bora. They announced a huge new sponsorship by Red Bull ahead of the Tour de France, and they had, all right, Primož Roglič had to go home after a crash, but he wasn't good either. And after that, after Primož left the race, it was Jai Hindley was a bit on some breakaways, but it's not the level you expect from such a team, right?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I would say mainly those 2 big teams as losers. France de as well. Where were they?
That's who I was going to name, man.
Whoa. It's just like nowhere.
Nowhere.
Crazy. The French team, might have.
Yeah.
Decathlon. Look at Decathlon AG2R. They had an amazing season so far until the Tour. Then gone, disappeared, vanished. We're talking about 4 big teams. Well, 2 big teams. Other 2 French teams that not as big, but they had a good year. And with Lenny Martinez winning a lot of races and so on, and just completely disappeared in the Tour.
Completely. I think like Carapaz did great losing time on GC and making his way back to be relevant. EF was very, very active.
Yeah.
So I would say they salvaged their tour, so to speak. And then I think for losers, I'm with you. FTJ for sure. I mean, there's got to be some discussions. I think it was absolutely unacceptable, like their performance. And I think Lenny Martinez is leaving as well. So I don't know if he was all there present during this tour, knowing that he's got 1 foot out the door. But winners, I would say Uno X. They were very, very active, man.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't see Magnus Court much, but they had Abrams, I think his last name. He was very, very active in the mountains jersey, and a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
And then I agree with you, Biniam, for sure. And then Cav, Astana. I mean, they came with 1 goal and they executed it 100%.
Yeah. When you wrap up the Tour, but that's the Tour. There's not many chances to many riders and teams. But at the end, you do. For example, Movistar. All right, they ended up not winning a stage, nothing on GC, but they've been present on the race. They get close to get a stage win, right? And that's fine. Then EF clearly fantastic with Richard. Don't forget that he's been wearing the yellow jersey as well. So they've done great. Yeah, amazing Tour de France. And but yeah, others, it's like wow, that's bad, and not just like one rider, it's like the whole team. Just you could see them just going down, right? And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they're very pleased it's over, because now they just need to work out how to improve and show up at the next race in a better level.
For sure. Well, thanks so much for joining me, man, during this series. What's next for you? Where should people follow you? Should they just connect with you on Instagram?
Instagram, I have a YouTube channel in Spanish, so I'm very bad at subtitles, and I haven't uploaded much for the last 2 months. So hopefully now, maybe at the end of summer, everything gets smoother and I have more time to create more videos. And yeah, thanks for having me on your channel, and it's been a pleasure.
All right, well, I'll put the information for Juan's social handles in the description of this video if you want to follow along his journey. And we'll see you guys in the next video.